Welcome back to the 5 on the Floor Quick Takes. I have Alex Toledo. Brady Hawk is over there in the Heat media room. Ethan is covering from home with Leif on Playback. Go check that out if you don't. To watch the game for us, playback.tv/5RSN. Download the app. Come watch the game with us and hang out with us for free during the games. Anyways, the Heat finally did it, y'all. They broke the losing streak. They were able to secure, honestly, a pretty satisfying home win against the Kings. There wasn't one where, you know, they had to grind it out at the end. It was refreshing because they were able to, score. I think it was 90 through three quarters. Their offense was pretty good, and I also thought their defense was all right, especially in that first quarter. In the first and fourth, they held the Kings to 22 points in each one of those, and I think once again in the second straight night they played a whole lot of zone, especially as the game went on. They just went away from their man again, and look, something about the zone gets Josh Richardson and Caleb Martin to just look even better on defense than they have in man, and I think that was one of the reasons that I feel like they were able to get a cushion in the first place, because they were able to get stops against a team that's been really, really good on the offensive side, a team that's very proficient on that end of the floor, and kind of just shut out their water tonight. Like, very quiet game for De'Aaron Fox, who last time I looked was 3 of 12 from the field. I didn't see what he ended up finishing at, but he had a really tough game shooting wise. I thought Keegan Murray was huge for the Kings tonight, just making all sorts of shots. Good player, is one of the guys who was kind of actually able to bust the Heat zone and beat it. And Sabonis, 19, 17, 13, triple-double, even though the Heat were sagging off to him when they were in man, and were of course sagging off again when they're in zone and Bam is in the kind of under the basket there. He's still able to create at a high level and play his game, even if they're guarding him like that with a defensive player of the year type of guy in Bam. I mean, he was honestly the reason that it wasn't a blowout for the Kings. He was creating consistent offense, and that just wasn't the case for De'Aaron Fox. Now, from the Heat's end, oh my gosh, you got a Klay Thompson-like game from Josh Richardson, who finished the game 24 points, 6 of 10 from 3, 9 of 15 from the field. He was absolutely huge for them early in that game. And then once again, later on, it was just insane to see him play that way. Happy for him. They really needed that, and just huge. And that's not something that you can necessarily count on going forward, but to bust a losing streak, that's exactly the type of stuff that you need, right? Like, the Kings were not hitting their threes, were not responding that well to the Heat's defense from that perspective, which they're usually really good at. And the Heat made a ton of their threes, and also the Heat's mid-range stuff went back to normal tonight. Like, they hit them at a really high rate, and got some stuff at the rim here and there with the Jimmy alley-oop, Haka's layup, a couple of the Jimmy baskets. I thought Jimmy was fantastic tonight, one of his better games all season. I believe finished with a 31, 7, and 6 stat line. Got to the free throw line, I think, 12 times. Like, I thought he was fantastic tonight. It's good to see him put up a few good games in a row, kind of remind everybody he's still, more or less the same guy, and he's kind of starting to ramp up. We've seen this before from Jimmy, so that's good to see. And the other thing good to see was Tyler and Bam. Neither put up a crazy scoring game, but I thought both played really good games on both ends of the floor. And then honestly, even Terry Rozier, who had like a tough game shooting wise, to finish with 10 assists, right, in a game where he still looked like he kind of doesn't know where to be at times. The spacing is a little off. Sometimes, he takes weird shots, a little bit too early. I still think he's figuring out there, but he's been like, when the shooting hasn't been there, the playmaking has been there. For a guy who was classified as a straight-up bucket getter and not a point guard and all these things, he's been good. He's been a good playmaker for them, and is able to kind of get them going on the offensive end. Is one of the only guys who's able to break down his man and get it to the paint. So even though he didn't shoot it well tonight, I think he only finished with 3 points. You take those 10 assists, you take the offense created, and I thought there was a lot of offense created tonight through the Tyler and Bam pick and roll, and that's something that hasn't been seen in a while, and they just got so much out of it. So between Jimmy's great game, Tyler and Bam's pick and roll, and Josh's threes, like, you got a ton of offense tonight. The defense was just good enough, especially towards the end, where they were able to just secure the win and finally break this losing streak. Now they're set up to head into Washington, D.C. and play one of the worst teams in the league, and hopefully have a winning streak now, right? Maybe they win a second in a row, and it's a win streak, and then you got the Clippers on Sunday. But for all of our sakes, I'm glad they did it. I'm going to go ahead to Spo's media availability and then the Kings. Thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure to check out the new 5 on the Floor podcast tonight. Thank you guys.